Welcome to the Really Good Films Podcast, a chance to look back at the films we've reviewed recently, but also look forward to the upcoming releases for August. First, let's recap the original review of each film, followed by additional commentary that may contain spoilers. Don't worry, you'll be warned before any spoilers in case you want to watch spoiler-free. The films we've covered recently have had gay relationships at their core, from the friendships and couple featured in The Boys in the Band to the secret affair in From the Side. We've also travelled around the world, from America to Italy and then to France and finally to the UK. Now we know what's coming up, let's get on with the show. Here's the original review of The Boys in the Band. The Boys in the Band sees a group of gay friends gather for a birthday party, during which a surprise guest and a drunken game reveal unspoken feelings and buried truths. The Boys in the Band returns to screens on the 50th anniversary of the original film adaptation, with a new version that's glossier and noticeably higher budget than its 1970 counterpart. This works both for and against the film, as while it hits the same beats as the original, it feels less raw and tense. That's not to say it isn't filled with great performances, it absolutely is, but the more unpleasant moments feel smoothed out. Where this new version excels is in making us connect with the gay friends, many of whom are more likeable than in the first screen adaptation. The Boys in the Band is a satisfying mix of wit and drama that is worth a watch. The extra commentary for The Boys in the Band has no spoilers, so no need to skip ahead. Here's some additional thoughts on the film. It is very interesting to compare the 1970 and 2020 versions of The Boys in the Band, but difficult to say which one is better. I would say the rawness of the original makes it harder to watch, but at the same time makes you feel more in the room. This new version feels more cinematic in its presentation, including cutaways outside the apartment. I must reiterate that the performances are great in both versions, but people will have their preferences on which version of each character they prefer. Much like seeing various adaptations of your favourite play on stage, this new version sits alongside the original and makes us appreciate the source material even more. I hope that extended review has given you more of an idea of if the 2020 version of The Boys in the Band is worth watching. Now it's time to move on to the original review of The Invisible Thread. The Invisible Thread tells the story of a teenage son of two dads, who makes a documentary about his parents, but is shocked when a real-life plot twist occurs in his family. The Invisible Thread is a sweet drama about family struggles which explores the imperfections of human relationships. It has just the right amount of humour to deal with what is quite a difficult subject, a fracturing family. The cast give enjoyable and believable performances, and even when the fathers start fighting in a childish manner, it's not overdone. While it discusses the legal issues around gay parenthood in Italy, it never feels preachy. There is a universalism to its story about family that will be appreciated by both gay and straight viewers alike. The Invisible Thread is a fun film that is worth a watch. Now for some further thoughts on The Invisible Thread, which may be considered to contain slight spoilers. If you want to watch without even the smallest of spoilers, skip ahead a bit for our next review. The Invisible Thread feels distinctly European, and shows a great eye for balancing sweet and bitter moments, so the film doesn't get too saccharine. While the dads getting petty revenge on each other is often played for laughs, it never gets to the point of being unbelievable. Its message that no family is perfect is well conveyed. The idea that relationships change over time and require work brings a sense of realism that many films about relationships miss. Those were a couple of extra thoughts on The Invisible Thread. I hope they help you decide if you want to watch it. Welcome back to those rejoining us. It's now time to move on to the penultimate film of today's programme, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Here's the original review of the film. Portrait of a Lady on Fire sees a female painter on an isolated island in Brittany in the 18th century paint a wedding portrait of a young woman. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is a romantic drama which is filled with powerful emotion. Our leads give captivating performances that never feel inauthentic or forced. There is a lyrical feeling to the film, with a script that successfully conveys the central romance in all its complexity. The cinematography is beautiful, especially at night, where the use of light, colour and composition make the film look like an oil painting in motion. Its pacing does slow a little too much towards the end, and it can feel a touch overindulgent, but these are relatively small issues. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is very much worth a watch. The extension of the review of Portrait of a Lady on Fire contains spoilers, so skip ahead a bit if you're concerned about hearing spoilers, and we'll see you for the final film. There's no denying that this isn't a happy film, with some moments being truly morbid, such as the servant's attempts at an abortion. This sadness is speckled with some sweetness and levity, but you need to be in the right mood to watch the movie. It has buckets of atmosphere, and the use of an apparition of Eloise in her wedding dress is quite effective. Portrait of a Lady on Fire manages to avoid the staleness that often comes with films based in the past. If that extra bit of commentary piqued your interest, then Portrait of a Lady on Fire might be for you. Now we move back to the modern day for our original review of In From the Side. In From the Side sees two equally attached men from a gay rugby club unwittingly sleepwalk into an adulterous affair, which they must hide or risk destroying the club they love. In From the Side is a drama that's grounded in reality. There is great chemistry between Alexander Lincoln and Alexander King, which keeps the audience engaged. Many of the film's characters have a good sense of depth, making us really care for the team as a whole. These characters make what is a fairly by-the-numbers story better than it would have otherwise been. The film is unfortunately a solid 15 minutes too long, and if some of its wistful music-backed moments had been reduced or cut, its pacing would have been much better. In From the Side is a solid film that is worth a watch. In terms of spoilers, In From the Side's extended review might give away themes absent from the plot, so proceed with caution. Here's a few more thoughts on the film. For an independent film, partially funded through Kickstarter, it is very well shot. There is a level of polish to the film overall, which is rare for an indie movie. It is quite refreshing for a film with almost exclusively gay characters that coming out or homophobia aren't the focus of the narrative. These are just a group of friends playing rugby who happen to be gay. It's always good to see quality crowd-funded films, and I hope that the extra comments on In From the Side have cleared up whether you want to see it or not. Now we've looked back at the films we've covered recently, let's look ahead to next month's releases. The Meg 2, aka Meg 2 The Trench, sees the world's biggest, meanest fish return to terrorise the ocean, as well as humanity, and this time it's brought some terrifying company. This action movie will be enough to scare those planning to swim in the ocean this summer. For fans of giant monsters, I'd say this looks like a good time that needs to be seen on a big screen. Haunted Mansion tells the story of a single mum who hires a tour guide, a psychic, a priest and a historian to help exorcise her newly bought mansion, which she's discovered is haunted. This second attempt at adapting the popular Disney theme park ride, whose synopsis listing off quirky helpers sounds like the setup of a joke, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Several well-known characters from the ride also seem like they'll be featured in the film as well. Red, White and Royal Blue sees the son of the American president spark a feud with Britain's prince. The film seems to be pure romantic cheesiness designed to make you feel warm inside. American and British cultures clashing is a well-worn trope, but one that can easily produce plenty of humour. It has some impressive talent behind it, such as Uma Thurman as the American president, so hopefully it exceeds expectations. Blue Beetle sees an alien relic choose a teenager to be its symbiotic host, bestowing upon him a suit of armour that's capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers. Blue Beetle looks like typical comic book movie fare, with a reluctant hero having to learn the powers given to him. The suit's abilities look like they will provide plenty of opportunities for some bombastic action sequences. Scrapper tells the story of 12-year-old Georgie, who lives alone in her London flat, whose life is changed by the arrival of her estranged father. Scrapper looks like it's filled with heart and charm. Lola Campbell's debut performance seems like it will be the start of a great acting career. She stars alongside Harris Dickinson, who's had an impressive run of films recently, including The King's Man. The movie looks like it will be a more upbeat take on a British kitchen sink drama, despite tackling the difficult topic of a mother's death. Well, that concludes this episode of the Really Good Films Podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you want more from Really Good Films, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. We're at Really Good Films on all of these platforms. And of course, subscribe to the podcast too on Spotify and Amazon Music. We can't wait to review more films for you soon.